Now, we have to warn you, the following segment is an honest conversation about death and the loss of a child, so please listen with care. It really is something that no parent ever expects to go through.
And sometimes it is the dad who finds himself being strong for everyone around them and often at their own expense. Here to chat about this are Féileacáin Fathers, Tony, Owens and Peter Shelley. You're very welcome to the show, lads. Thank you so much for being here to share your stories today. Tony, I'll go to you first. Arthur made you a dad.
Yeah. Claire, my wife, was pregnant on her first child back in 2013. And, you know, as all parents, we were just so excited. We were already planning our child's future. We didn't know whether it was a boy or a girl. And, you know, we got past the 12 and 20-week scans and, you know, you're told you'll be okay now, you know, and we got into Hollis Street at 40 weeks and 2 days, and just to be told the devastating news that his heartbeat was gone, you know, and it was just unbelievable to try comprehend, and it was so devastating. You know, you're not just losing your child, you're losing your future, you're losing your hope, you're losing your all those things that you plan, because you know yourself, as soon as you get pregnant, you're planning things. Yeah. Claire was planning, I'll be on maternity at this time, I'll be going on walks with my friend who's pregnant as well, and I'd be like, I'm sneaking holidays, I'll be taking days off work for this and sneaking home early to walk the pram and all that kind of stuff. So it's devastating.
Yeah. Claire still had to give birth.
Yeah. We thought when they told us the tragic news that they'd do a section for Claire and take the baby out, but they said for her own health, she'd have to give a natural pregnancy, and it was just so difficult for us. I actually remember walking into Hollis Street and walking in that door and thinking, oh, my only job here now is carrying the car seat out. The dads have this easy, where the mums have to do all the hard work. But she gave a natural birth, and I remember we didn't know whether it was a boy or a girl, and when he was born, we looked at the clock, and it was an old digital clock, and it was 17:59, and we didn't have a name picked, and we just looked up, and I just thought the Guinness ad to Arthur, 17:59, and we named him Arthur, and it was just, the name suited him perfectly. He was just gorgeous. If he could have just opened his eyes and given out that big bellow, he would have been perfect.
Yeah. It's massively, massively sad. But when something like this happens, you're consumed with different feelings. You say the anger didn't really come initially. The disbelief and the anger didn't come initially. So what were your thoughts, what were your feelings in the first few days?
I remember it so vividly. It was like we both had left our bodies and we were just floating above ourselves, looking down at these two hopeless people who were just lost, and it was just numbness, really. Those 3 days that we had in Hollis Street, like, it's so hard to comprehend for people who don't get it. Those were the most 3 precious days of our lives, because it's then that we got to hold them and kiss them and change them and play with them and stuff like that. We just wanted to be like every other parents, you know, squishing his nose and pulling on his fingers, and thankfully he got the Owens nose and not the McDonald nose. I always have to get that in, you know, and just looking at him, and, you know, we wouldn't leave the room, always making sure that there was one of us there. You know, it's just the paternal instincts kicking in. It wasn't until we left Hollis Street after those 3 days that the real hurt started.
Okay. Can I just ask you, in those 3 days, how were family coming in to see you and Claire and Arthur, or were people reluctant to come in?
I think family were coming in. I think they were reluctant, because effectively, who wants to come in and have a look at a dead baby? And I'd imagine, while he was the most beautiful thing in the world to us, I'd imagine if it was the other way around and it was me going in to visit, I would have been reluctant too, so I totally understand it. But when they came in, like, they just had a look at him and says, oh, he's just gorgeous, and they just talked, and it was so important for us, for them to see him and realise that this was real. He was really here.
Yeah. Peter, Tell us about Aodhla. You had her for 8 very, very precious weeks.
Yeah, so Aodhla was born on the 12th of November 2024. Life was perfect. Absolutely no problems with her whatsoever. Had a great Christmas together. Had our usual trip down to the west of Ireland together as a family. She's my second daughter, third child. And in January 9th, 2025, so last year, we went for a walk up to Féileacáin. Just a normal family walk. Sunset, we thought we'll go out as a family, enjoy the evening. I had just gone back to work from being off at Christmas time. And unfortunately, Aodhla passed away while we were out for the walk. So sudden infant death syndrome. So there's no answer as to why. We got her into Temple Street and they worked on her there, but that evening she passed away.
And the fact that we were all together, sometimes people think of sudden infant death syndrome as cot death. It happens at night time when you wake in the morning, but she was with you all the time, physically
with us the whole time. She was in a sling, but the sling has come back that the sling has absolutely nothing to do with it. Like, that was a challenge in itself, waiting for the autopsy results to confirm that had nothing to do with it. But yeah, it wouldn't have made any difference whatsoever. We were told you have about 15 seconds to bring her back, but essentially it just looked like she was asleep. She had fed, and within 5 minutes of feeding and getting back to the car, she had passed away.
You've never got a reason for...
There is no reason. So here in Ireland, we had our autopsy. We've got the results of that, so everything has come back clear. We were lucky enough that they do further genetic testing now, so that got sent off abroad, and they do those tests. We were expecting something to come back, but they came back clear as well, so nothing.
Because the blame game can kick in, and not just like you blaming somebody and somebody else blaming you or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
It's just you blame yourself.
And I think that was the challenge for my partner, Sarah. Liz, she had her in the sling, so she was convinced that had she done something wrong. So it was 6 long months waiting for the results to come back. But the doctor could sit across the table from her and tell her 100% that sling had nothing to do with it. And you had nothing to do. And no matter what you did, it wouldn't have changed the situation.
What did grieving look like for you? Because I think as a dad, and I suppose the perceived role as a protector, your instinct would be to mind your children and mind your partner, and maybe putting yourself last in this situation.
I don't think you put yourself last, but you figure out that you can't grieve the same way, and you don't grieve the same way as each other. We were lucky enough, within 2 weeks we were sitting in front of therapists. Within 10 weeks I was in Barrettstown at the family bereavement camp. There was families there that were 10 years on and only looking for help at that stage. So we were very, very proactive in terms of what we did. But as a dad, you grieve differently to your partner. I would give myself permission to get in the car, and as I drive to work, have a good cry then, knowing that when I get to work, I'll pull it back together. I think as a man, you grieve differently. You can open up that grief box, let it all out. And like women, they are better multitaskers. So like Sarah can grieve and do all the stuff that needs to be done as well. Whereas I felt like I need to step away to grieve, and then I can come back to do my day-to-day or whatever needs to be done. So you're nearly scheduling. That's the time that I need now to let everything out.
You have to box it off, basically, to cope with it. But what you're doing now, I think, is absolutely amazing with Féileacáin Fathers. I mean, you have your jerseys there. Maybe you'd like to explain to us what they are and what you're doing.
Yeah, so there's Arthur's jersey and Peter's Aodhla's jersey. Sorry, I want to make sure to get it. There it is there. And what we do every June is we play a match around Father's Weekend. So on Saturday we have our big charity match, and this year we've 31 new dads playing for the first time, all from around Ireland. You know, this is everywhere in Ireland. They will receive a jersey like this with their own baby's name on it. You know, what's the point in going out and having your name on the back of a jersey? That is not significant. But when you have your baby's name and you're on that football pitch and you're looking around and seeing Aodhla and Ben and Alfie and all these other children on the backs of jerseys, it just inspires you. You can see a picture of me, 2 other children wearing Arthur's jersey there. You know, it's one of my favourite photographs ever. Thankfully, we got to have our second and third children, but we'd always say, you know, we're the parents of three. It's just that two get to live at homeless. So it's something very special this coming Saturday that all those dads will get to play down in Ringsend in memory of their baby, and their family and friends will come along, and it's a celebration of those children. People can think, oh, it's a sad occasion. No, this is a celebration. We're all there. If you go for your class as Arthur's match or your class as Aodhla's match, it doesn't matter. As long as you're there supporting them. So we'd urge all our family and friends to come down and support all the dads playing.
Okay. And the thing is, there's 31 of you this year, and all of you have this common bond, but you're all celebrating your children's lives.
Yeah, there'll be 40 dads on the day representing Féileacáin Fathers.
Oh, there's 31 new
31 new dads, yeah. So, and they may not be newly bereaved, but they're new to the group overall. So it's a special day for them. It's a special, like, I remember my first one was last year, and you're standing out there, and I'm thinking about Aodhla at that time. I was lucky enough that I was on the winning team last year. but I think as time goes on, you realise you're not just representing the name that's on your back, but you're lucky enough to represent all those dads who are part of that wider group. And like, that probably came to me when we travelled to the UK, that I'm looking around and going, it's not just me, it's all of these dads and it's all of these kids that we're remembering.
Before we finish, you've got a podcast.
I have a podcast, Dads Don't Cry. It is a podcast for any parent to share their story of their child that's passed away. So I understand you've had a nephew that you lost a couple of years ago, and I'm sure there's nothing more that your family like than to hear his name being mentioned.
And for people to talk to you.
Yeah.
And it's not about how that child has passed away, it's about telling the story of
Saying
what that
that name.
meant to you. So
Yeah.
Tony has been on speaking about Arthur, so if someone wants to hear more about Arthur, they can go there. But I've had kids that similar to Arthur. I've had 16-year-olds, but similar to, like, we're sitting here as dads and Féileacáin Fathers on our chest. The podcast has evolved from dads coming on to parents coming on, so it can be a mum or a dad. And Féileacáin Fathers has evolved over the time now to include our kids that are here and include our partners that are here. And you'll see it. Really, we should be known as Féileacáin Families as opposed to Féileacáin Fathers. But right now we're a dads group, but I can definitely see it evolving like the podcast.
Thank you both so much for joining us on the show this morning. And of course, you can get details about Féileacáin Fathers at féileacáin.ie.